let's install Portainer on a Synology NAS. All right, so let's start with going to, all right, let's start by going to Portainer's official website, which is just portainer.io, like India Oscar. And then we'll go to resources, documentation, resources, documentation. I'll scroll down to where it says install Portainer CE, as in Community Edition, set up a new Portainer Community Edition server installation. And then I'll click Docker Standalone, install Portainer CE with Docker on Linux. Next, scroll down to where it says deployments. I'm going to ignore the Docker volume create because I'm not going to create a Docker volume because I'm a rebel like that, like Dr. House of Doctor World, Doctor of Docker World. So here we can see a Docker run command. So it starts off Docker run -d -p 8000, 8000. I guess it's not a minus, maybe that's a hyphen. But I'm just going to copy this section here. And I want to make a Docker compose file out of this. So you can convert Docker run commands to compose files with a website called composerize.com. Awesome name. And you can see the example here where they've got a Docker run for Nginx. I'm not a very technical guy. And down here you can see the Docker Composer version of it. So all I have to do is delete their example and paste in our Docker run command from Portainer. And down here, hey, look at that. We got exactly what we need, a Docker Compose text. Docker Compose.yaml? I don't know. I'll copy that. I'm going to need that because now I'm going back to my Synology NAS. I just need 2 programs for this, and the first one is Container Manager, and the second one is a text editor. If you don't have those, just go to the Package Center, type in Container Manager. Oh, it got that, and that was way off. Well, I really misspelled that one. I still got it. And then click Container Manager and you can install it. If Container Manager doesn't show up for you, that means your Synology doesn't officially support it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't unofficially support it. So maybe just Google the model of your Synology NAS, see if people have gotten it to run. It's probably just as easy as clicking on manual install, downloading the Container Manager file from Synology's official website, and you can probably just install it that way. The other program that I want is just their text editor. So if you type in text editor shows up, and you can just install it from there. I'll close out. Sorry, I'm going to clear my throat a lot because I'm getting over a cold. Click on Container Manager. I'm going to scoot this over because I know that I'll need to open up File Station soon. So in Container Manager, I'll click Project, Create, Project Name. Just keep it simple, right? Portainer. And then I'm going to click on, Path. I'm going to actually click on File Station and let's create a path. In my Docker share, I'm going to create a folder called, keep it simple, Portainer. And now I'm going to cough. Exit out of here. Under path, let's go to set path, Docker, and Portainer. I don't think you need to put the Portainer folder in your Docker share, but it's a, good place to store your Docker stuff just to keep stuff organized. And you should have a Docker share when you create Container Manager. Under source, instead of upload Docker Compose YAML, I'm going to click create Docker Compose.yaml. And under there, I'm just going to paste this blurb, this text here that I got from composerize.com. And that's everything that I need, but I do need to make a couple of changes. First, for name, I'm going to delete that section. Then under volumes, and I just need the bottom part where it says Portainer _data : / data. I'm going to type in period / and that changes this from a Docker volume to a regular volume on my system. So I need to actually make that. I'll go into File Station, Portainer, and create that folder. And that one was called Portainer _ data. I'll exit out of here. That period is just shorthand for wherever I am, look for this folder. And wherever I am, that's going to be up here because that Docker Compose.yaml file is going to go in this folder that we created in the path. And on the right side where it says / data, you just ignore that. That's for Docker. Stuff to the right side of the colon, that's for Docker. That's not for you. And then last thing I need to do is delete this volume section on the bottom. All 4 lines, all deleted. And I'm done, and I can run Portainer. The only thing you might want to keep note of is this 9443 here. Just got to remember it. Web portal settings, I'll ignore. Next, start the project once it is created. Sure. And now it's going to extract and verify and pull and everything that it needs to install Portainer, which shouldn't take too long. It's not a very big file. Exit code 0 is good. Container Manager project Portainer was successfully built is awesome. I'll close. A green light is great. If I click Container, I can see more green lights. That's good. Ignore fresh RSS. Actually, don't ignore it. I'm going to delete it. You don't have this, but I'm going to delete mine. All right, fresh RSS, you're gone. Then you're not here. All right, Portainer's running. Now we need to access Portainer, and the way that you access Portainer is by going to the IP address of your Synology NAS, 9443. So in my case, mine is 192.168.86.70, but that's not yours. So this number is not important to you. Colon 9443. And it will not work. It says client sent an HTTP request to an HTTPS server. So that means in the beginning, I need to add HTTPS:// IP address of your Synology NAS, colon 9443. And you'll probably get a warning saying that this is a malicious website, which it's not. And I know that because I made it. I'll accept the risk and continue. And hey, I'm in. I am in Portainer. And that's all you need to do to install Portainer. You're good there. Yeah. So if you're wondering how I knew to go to the IP address of my NAS, colon 9443 to access this, it's actually under the directions here for installation. I think if I come down to logging in, it tells you can log into your Portainer server by going to localhost colon 9443. Now, I am on a web browser doesn't matter if you're on a Mac PC, on your phone or whatever. Localhost just means it's going to go to the IP address of whatever you're on. So in this case, it would use the IP address of my Mac, and it would not work. So instead of localhost, I replaced that with the IP address of my Synology NAS because that's where Portainer is installed. That's why I do that for all these Docker containers. That's how you get to them. So then I can just quickly try it out. So I like to use my birth name, volume data 21, password secure, because that's a secure password. It's got the word password and secure right in there. Why not? And then I'll click get started. Local, this is where everything's at. And cool, I'm actually gonna go back and edit this. And then I'll click the edit button, and then I like to name it instead of local. I'll just type in Synology NAS. That's way off. Synology NAS. And then for public IP address, I'm actually just going to type in the IP address of my Synology NAS. And then update environment. And that's just nice because you can click shortcuts sometimes to open up containers. And if you don't type in your IP address, then you're going to have to manually type in every time. It will tell you to go to it'll just direct you to 0.0.0.0 colon, whatever the port number is, but much more convenient to just have the IP address of my NAS. And there we go. We can see one stack is already running, and that's Portainer. And that's because Portainer will be able to see Docker Compose files run by your container manager. And vice versa, that's not right, but conversely, your container manager can also see projects run by Portainer. And that's because they're both basically the same thing. I would say Portainer is a little more advanced. You can do a little bit more with it. Whereas Container Manager in Synology is a little more convenient. Probably the most notable thing in here is that you have control over Docker volumes, which is kind of nice. I can see all these old unused Docker volumes that I definitely should delete. I'm not going to do that right now. That's not part of the tutorial. So there you go. You've got Portainer up. I know it's kind of the same thing as using Container Manager, but I also know that there are a lot of Portainer tutorials out there for Synology NASs. And that's because for a long time, I don't think Synology had the ability to run Docker Compose files in what's called a GUI, a graphical user interface. But with Container Manager now it does. So you can sort of, once you get the hang of Docker Compose, you can follow along with a lot of these tutorials and use Container Manager instead of Portainer. But Portainer's here if you want to use it. And yeah, there you go. That is how you install Portainer on a Synology NAS.